Hello. This is what ad libbing looks like. It's off the cuff. I've been a supporter of Bernie Sanders. How about you? Uh, Twice I went all the way to the state convention, working with people advancing changes in the Democratic platform. And he's center of the road, people in Europe, where they take care of people a little better. Where workers are seen as trading partners with the right to organize. Get that? If you don't have the power of organization on your side to help you as trading partners, you're at a disadvantage when it comes to big business. Small business, not as much. But if you're in a massive uh, business, working for a massive business, you need bargaining power. You need to see yourselves as trading partners, and that's is valuable because if you don't, then I'll tell you about the efficiency that they're talking about with Elon Musk and Trump. It's obviously not Elon giving up any yachts or homes or any other billionaires doing the same or living within reasonable means and contributing their fair share. That's not going to happen. Their idea of efficiency without your voice, without your ability to collectively bargain, you have no voice. In that company, you have no voice at all, and not a lot of respect. Now, how many of you experienced that when you're working? Elon Musk and Trump joked about people on strike legally. They have a union, they're on strike. And they started laughing. Good luck having a job when you come back. Yeah, that's not legal. But this isn't stopping these guys. They have a sickness. They have a bad sickness. It's called power corrupts. We tried to divide the forces of power in the very beginning with our Constitution. Separation of powers, it was called. And now Trump is trying to get rid of that. And what does that mean? He's got all the money, all of the profits, no matter how hard you work. You're not getting ahead, are you? That's because they're taking all of those profits and calling them their own because you worked for them. How does that sound? Well, to me, it sounds like a farmer talking about his livestock. You're not livestock. You're not an extra water fountain or printing machine in business. You are trading partners. Without that, you have no respect. Without that organization, boy, how are you gonna go into politics and fight that big money? Because you don't organize. The labor unions used to make sure that you had a voice in politics, eh? And what about this Bernie revolution? Well, is it abandoning the Democratic Party? No. It's making sure that the Democratic Party stops sliding over and conceding to the big businessmen. Yeah, giving them all the profits, Oh gosh, watch Robert Reich. He has a chart, and it's just you're working hard, are you not? And so we're more productive than we've ever been, and it's the graph shows all of the profits go into a handful of people. Remember, power corrupts. It messes with people's minds. And if anybody has a messed up mind, it's Trump and Elon. He shouldn't have tagged along with Trump. No. Ruining his good name. Anyway, he had of one. Now he goes over to Poland and calls the president of Poland little man. Wow. Lack of courtesy, you know, lack of respect. Lack of respect for your rights and freedoms. Lack of respect for the Social Security that you earned. That was an investment that you made, that we all made, so that when we're old, we can still survive. And before that, elderly people died in the street. FDR changed that. But the Republican Party wanted to give everything to the wealthy. And winning elections, it caused the Democrats, oh my, we got to go to the center. Robert Reich talks about that. You would go to the center. Now what's the center? You keep caving into these guys. You need to call your Democratic congressman and tell them to grow a spine and support Bernie and real change, because that's what we need in this country. And you need to call your Republican representatives and tell them, yeah, the way that your job is going to be lost won't be by not following Trump. It may be because you are following Trump. We have protests all around the country, red states and blue. You can't ignore that. That's how they brought down dictators before in Europe. Constant protests all around the country that last and keep going. Well, it's going to keep going. And what we need to do is get ahead and prepare to vote and make it real. You say, oh, I don't want to vote because it's the lesser of evils. Well, if you don't vote, you still influence the election. But guess what? Since you didn't vote for the lesser of evils, you helped the greater to win. And if you get rid of the worst, then you can start working on the rest. So let's get rid of the worst. And let's start moving this country back to sanity. You're not farm animals. You're trading partners. And the efficiency that Elon Musk and Trump are talking about, it's the same old Republican game. If they can't win the vote on it, they're going to go into government and say, oh, we're for this helping thing, this helping organization. But then they go ahead and make sure that there's not enough people in there to make it real. Yeah, in behind the scenes, we need to make government more open, and so we see the devil's at work, so we can know what exactly is going on. But the mainstream media aren't showing you this. Why? Well, I think they've misunderstood their audience. They think fair and balanced means supporting lies and deceptions and anti-worker attitudes. Democracy demands respect for workers, okay? You say, "Oh, Bernie's a democratic socialist." Well, what does that mean? It means that we, the people, are in charge, not a handful of rich people or powerful people who are calling all the shots. Seriously, it's a threat to democracy if you don't vote. It's a threat to democracy if you don't stand up for Bernie and AOC. Let's just say it like it is. There's an awful lot of hatefulness and fear that you're seeing coming out of Trump and Elon. Prejudice, old prejudices, hatefulness. That's not what America is about. America is a land of opportunity. But the only way you're going to have opportunity is to vote and to be part of the movement, any movement that supports workers' rights. And, it's baby steps sometimes. Keep voting for the lesser of evils until the greater of evils hasn't got a chance to get elected. Let's make sure that people who are supporting Trump right now don't get elected in the midterms. But Trump is acting like a dictator. He's trying to take over the voting process. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And guess what? He claims that he has a mandate. Pay attention. He had a plurality of the vote. Only 1/3 of the people voted. Is that right? I believe so. And he got a plurality, not a majority of that vote. And the only reason he got that plurality, well, look, counting all of the votes and not just the ones that voted for Kamala Harris, he only got a plurality of the vote. A lot of the people are already saying, "Oh, who, comparing the votes between Kamala Harris and no, compare him to all of the votes." People are voting against him. They just weren't voting for Kamala. A lot of the reason is that the Democrats haven't been right out front supporting working people. So you make sure that they start. And let's start by making sure that the worst can't get elected. A new party will form, or the Republicans will change. Anyway, now how does that relate to inner mind communication philosophy? Well, it's in that philosophy, in terms of communications, which is vital to politics, there are 3 types of caring, but perspectives that need to be in balance. And those perspectives are objective, creative, and compassionate. These things need to work together. And what do they serve? In your own mind, they serve you, your inner child. And in society, these perspectives, represented by government for objectivity, church for compassion, and the media for creativity, all focused in a caring way on people and on government as an organization, another organization, but on business, government, church, and media educate business. They educate trade. with those kind of perspectives I just mentioned. And because of that, trade becomes more fair. And fair trade is the only real free trade. I want to repeat that. Fair trade is the only real free trade. It's not fair if some corporation has every single good location. And where are you going to open your restaurant, for instance? Next to the city dump because it's the only place available? Or the only thing you can afford? It's the Democrats who try to help small business. So if you're into small business, don't vote Republican. Okay? And the Democrats are pro-union. And unions are very helpful for the police and fire departments and other government agencies. And so if you're in those agencies and you got a job as in policing or firefighting or garbage collecting, or any of the vital things, wow, you need to vote Democratic. Why? Because if you get rid of the worst, again, if you get rid of the worst, then you can start picking out and getting rid of the worst in the Democratic Party. You can also go and vote in the primaries. Show up at the Democratic primaries. There's a choice there. I supported Bernie twice. I didn't have enough people. We didn't have enough people to win, and help elect him around the country. We didn't have enough. So Biden got picked instead. Biden did a fairly good job, but we should have elected Bernie because we need real change. Elizabeth Warren would have been a better choice too. So, but people don't. Yet it's time we had a woman president, for heaven's sakes. Every other major country has that. Well, I'm hoping that this has made some kind of impact on you. Open to all of your questions, everything that you have to say. Leave it in the comments. Share the video if you mostly agree. And subscribe. Right now, I'm pretty much working alone. No team. I could use you in the team. But yeah. And how do you get to be a part of that team and have your influence on the channel? There's another way. Join the Inner Mind Communication group on Facebook. And it's there that, you might get a chance to talk to me and maybe one of the team members who've been too busy to help. Maybe they might respond. Anyway, let's remember something. Out of all this that I've said, remember that you're a trading partner. You're not an extra piece of furniture in the boardroom. You're a trading partner, and that deserves respect. And you're going to get that with unions because the numbers count. You walk in together, what is the saying? United we stand, divided we fall. Okay, remember all that. And go to BernieSanders.com. Check out Robert Reich YouTube channel. And and there are a few others, to check them out. And let's heal not just our own inner mind communication, but our inner minds communications, because how we communicate inside educates how we communicate outside and in reverse. So, and what is the main philosophy of inner mind communication? It's caring and meeting real human need. From these perspectives that I mentioned, represented by those organizations in society, each need to be standing on their own, not caving into some other perspective, not trying to do it all. And you go, well, there's the business of church. Yeah, that's true. There's the business in the media. There's the, it's all, in business itself has ethical things that it considers. All the perspectives exist, but I'm talking about the main focus of each organization and its job. So they need to stay in their lane. And we did not elect a king. We elected a president. And no matter how much Trump wants to be a king, or Elon wants to be a king, we're not having it in America, are we? We had people die for democracy at D-Day, fighting against fascism. And Hitler, he was a fascist. And he was backed by what? Big business that were making money hands over fist with his little plans. Yeah, they were making a lot of money. In the long run, that wouldn't have helped the economy, by the way. But yeah, they were taking it all and making it. And he put it toward the military. He was going to gobble up more land. Compare that to what Trump's doing. It's laughable. Turning Canada into the first state. Elon Musk calling the president of Poland, I believe it was, little man. Telling Zelensky he needs to surrender to the Russians for the sake of peace and give a big chunk of the country to a dictator. Really? And don't tell me Zelensky's a dictator. They haven't had elections there because their country's being bombarded and attacked. Sabe, understand that? He was elected. And he's serving his country. And when Trump decided that Zelensky should give him rights to the properties of the people, the different valuable minerals and resources of Ukraine, Zelensky had to remind him, I'm not a king here. Those things belong to the people. I cannot give you that. How sad. And we're not supporting him. And we'll win that conflict. That is not unwinnable. Why is he such a friend of Russia? I'm wondering. Because he wants to be like them? He wants to be a dictator. Our own generals have said he's a fascist at heart. And working with him is like the Twilight Zone. Yeah, it's looking like that right now, isn't it? Right in front of your eyes, unless you're watching Fox News all the time. And by the way, Fox News is been taken to court, not for getting things wrong, but for outright lying, knowing that what they said was wrong, and broadcasting it. And guess what? They lost in court. You can say what you want about mainstream media, but the rest of them haven't done that. That is the worst of mainstream media. The others are only bad because they're given too much credit to what is insane now. You know, fair and balanced. There's no balancing a dictatorship as versus an attempt at democracy, a republic. You know, there's there's no balancing those two things. You get rid of any group or person that want to be royalty. Oh yeah, and they pass all that to their kids too. And the Republicans said, "Oh, that's okay too." And the way they sold it to people, they called it a death tax. You know, right. It was one of the ways in which they made sure that people who doubly didn't earn that kind of wealth, and nobody earns that kind of wealth on their own. They don't. They're earning it off your back, and the backs of many workers. Some of them, and some of you, very bright people, even in lowly jobs. Met a lot of people a lot smarter than me that were taking care of the garbage. Yeah, it works like that. I know it's hard to believe. But chances are you are 10 times smarter than Trump. And because of money in politics, which again the Republicans gave us, there's no way you could run without big money helping you. Well, kudos to the billionaire Soros, who seems to be on our side. Maybe the poison of power hasn't completely destroyed his respect for workers. He knows they're not farm animals. Moo. Moo. Bah. You're not farm animals. And running this country like a farm with the rich people owning it all like the farmer, that's going to make you a lot like those farm animals. What do you do with an old horse? Hey, glue factory? Well, what's the equivalent? No health care? Yeah, everybody deserves health care. Racehorses owned by the rich get health care. Probably better than you. Really? Okay. Now, this is not to raise all kinds of anger or fear about people owning things or being a bit wealthy. It's about poison that's threatening democracy. Go ahead and be wealthy. Just pay your fair share of taxes and make sure that workers get their vital needs met. It only makes sense in the long run. Invest in the children, invest in the women. Yeah. And don't ask a woman with, especially with children, that she has no job if she's a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home taking care of the home. She has a job, okay? Don't ask her if she has a job. She does. She does. You know, and make sure that she gets paid fairly, because that could be your mom, that could be your sister, that could be your child, your little girl. You want for them an unfair disadvantage? Keep voting Republican. Yeah, they want to go back in time. Well, guess what's waiting for ladies back in time? They used to consider women property of the dad until she got married, and then she was the property of the husband. You want that for your little girl? Really? and and in a divorce they never got the kids because property can't own property. So I guess the husband owned the kids too, right? Outright, completely. She had nothing to do with it, right? Except for 9 months, something that if guys had to do, it would be no children. Well, I'm just saying. Yeah. Anyway, and oh, for those guys who say they would not like a woman for a boss, wasn't your mom a boss? Wasn't she a boss when you were little? Huh? You saying she did a bad job? Oh yeah. Yeah. Don't just send cards to your mom and saying, "Oh, it's Mom's Day." Fight for her rights. Okay? Her body, her choice. Men don't have that problem. It's not their body, their choice. What's the level playing field here? It's the woman. So no guy should be able to say to his wife, "Gee, honey, there's only a 30% chance that you'll die in pregnancy. I think we should go for it." That's her decision. That's her decision, not his. Yeah. If you can't put all that together, um, visit Robert Reich, his channel. Maybe he can put it together better for you. Okay? Until next time, keep changing the dialogue inside your head to something that really represents and respects you. And do the same thing for yourself in politics. Thank you very much for your time. So until next time.